the time of my life. I never felt this way before.
From building timelines to assigning the right people and even spotting risks across dozens of projects, Monday Sidekick knows your business, thinks ahead, and takes action. One click on the star and consider it done.
And I owe it all to you.
Try Monday Sidekick. AI you'll love to use on Monday.com.
Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of The Smart 7's brought to you by your nectar prices at Sainsbury's. These days it's hard to find value for money on your weekly shop, right? Well, maybe you're doing it wrong. You need to unlock the magic of your nectar prices at Sainsbury's. Every Friday, you can unlock up to 10 personalised discounts on things you love in the Nectar app. And the best part is that while nectar prices are for everyone, your nectar prices are just for you. So check your Nectar app and unlock your nectar prices to save more now. Enjoy your own personalised discount on things you love with your nectar prices at Sainsbury's. That's good food for all of us. The offer's for 18 plus, Nectar app required. Unlock up to 10 your nectar prices weekly. Available in supermarkets, online and in locals with Smart Shop. T's and C's apply. Seven things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Sunday 7.
I'm Ciara Evans in for Jamie East this week, and on today's episode of the award-winning Sunday 7, we get up to speed on the wave of cyber attacks, find out what synthetic talent is, and pay tribute to a naturalist, Jane Goodall. Plus, Will Guyatt, the Smart 7's resident tech guru, counts up Elon's cash and tells us why we may have to start paying for Snapchat. If you're enjoying our episodes, please do like and follow us wherever you get your podcast. We're here 7 days a week at 7 a.m. with the 7 biggest stories on the Smart 7 in association with Metro. Before we get started, though, it was on this day in 1905 that Orville and Wilbur Wright set a new aeroplane flight record with their third creation called the Flyer 3. Orville flew the plane just over 24 miles in 38 minutes, taking off from Dayton, Ohio, and circling their airfield 29 times. But there was no in-flight service. This year has seen a string of serious cyber attacks which have caused major issues across the UK and globally. Just this week, Japanese brewer Asli admitted that it had been hit by a cyber attack which impacted its shipping and customer service in Japan, while just a couple of weeks ago, European airports were shut down by another attack. Marks & Spencer's is still struggling to recover from its extensive cyber attack which crippled its website during the summer, and it appears the same group may have targeted Jaguar Land Rover. But the latest attack this week saw hackers target children's nursery group Kido and posted profiles of children online. Steve, whose child's data was stolen, spoke to Sky News.
It's the fact that this information is now being published on the dark web. That's the kicker for me. When I originally heard that it was a hacking incident, there's hacking incidents happening every day. But we're talking about children now, I'm starting to get rather angry with Kido. They've got a prime responsibility to look after our children, whether that be from physical harm or IT attack. And for me at the moment, they've completely failed that duty.
Stealing children's data is clearly an escalation of the stakes in a cyber attack, but former head of the National Cyber Security Centre, Kieran Martin, has urged parents to stay calm and says the risk of any personal or physical harm to children is low. Jaguar Land Rover have been unable to get their systems fully back online and are now expecting it may take until the end of October to get everything back to normal. And Professor David Bailey from the University of Birmingham's Business School says the scale of these attacks puts businesses in a really difficult position.
It's clearly a very, very serious breach of their cybersecurity, which is taking a lot of time to unpack and get to grips with. And remember as well, car companies are much more complicated than, say, a supermarket. We saw M&S and Co-op attack recently. So getting this fixed and getting things started again is taking a long time.
Mike Beese is the managing director of a company called Genex UK who specialise in pressed metal parts for Jaguar, and he says he's had to lay off staff because the factories are still not running.
From my side of it, personally, it's slightly annoying because to grow the business and move forward is normally the reason you search for investment. I managed to search for investment because one of the main customers has had let's get this right, they've had a really bad time with the cyber attack. But because of that, I don't have to pay for that. And there's no support coming from government. There's no support support for the staff that I've had to lay off. There's nothing there. We're left to fight for ourselves.
Craig Jones is a former director of cybercrime at Interpol, and he says the companies are just going to have to start spending money on protecting the online side of their businesses.
Cybersecurity standards haven't changed over the decades, basically. There's weaknesses and vulnerabilities in systems and network, and that's people as well. So what we're facing as a global community is a real existential challenge. We are unable often to protect our communities, our businesses and our industries, and we're used to things being free in this space. So when you add a cost into cybersecurity, companies and people are looking at that cost and deciding, well, where do we invest effectively?
This week saw Elon Musk break a new record, not for the number of tweets, but as the first man to become worth more than $500 billion, according to the new Forbes Rich List. And if you're keeping track, he was only worth $24 billion back in 2020. It's quite the story, but it's not even top of our list of the biggest stories in tech this week, as we catch up with the Smart 7 tech guru, Will Guyatt. So, Will, do you think you can earn $450 billion by 2030?
Well, I guess it's not statistically impossible. I think I'm going to focus on being a nice human being instead, and I'll leave being super rich to people like Elon Musk and Larry Ellison.
This week has seen some other social media channels try to make a few extra dollars themselves. What are Snapchat up to?
Quick straw poll. Who's still using Snapchat regularly? Thought so. Anyway, a new charge for storage has prompted an angry backlash from those who've built up an archive in the app and are still using it. Since 2016, you've been able to store content you've posted in the memories feature of the app, but now the company wants you to pay for the privilege, with those with more than 5 gigabytes worth of memories are now going to have to pay to keep them in the app. So far, we don't know what it's going to cost, as the company's statement confusingly says it's part of a global rollout. That's right. They've told users they're going to need to pay, but they haven't given them the detail, so I can't tell you if it's £2 a month or $2,000. Given Meta are about to launch an ad-free version of their Facebook and Instagram platforms in the UK for $2.99 a month, my cider senses suggest it'll be a similar number. You could pay it, or you could move into 2025 and use a different app.
And it sounds like Meta may need to do some fundraising in a new class action suit if it goes against them. What's the story about Flow?
The suggestion here is that the popular period tracking app Flow has been sharing users' intimate health data, such as menstrual cycles and fertility information, with companies like Google and Meta, who have then used this to target advertising, according to multiple lawsuits filed in the US and Canada. Between 2016 and 2019, developers shared data with a huge list of tech companies. Google and Flow have already settled their cases before they went to court, with Google saying they would pay up to $48 million and Flow $8 million to compensate users, and both denied the allegations despite agreeing to pay the settlement. This is a new way that big tech gets out of cases without denying wrongdoing or legal liability. And now all eyes are on Meta, who have so far refused to settle. In a Californian court last week, it was decided that Meta had actually violated the Californian Invasion of Privacy Act, a 60-year-old law that made it illegal to covertly record telephone conversations, with a fine of $5,000 possible for each time the law was broken. And while Meta hasn't listened into conversations, it's been decided that the data it took from Flow would be classed the same way. As a result of this, Meta could be liable for billions of dollars if found guilty.
Period apps are a goldmine of personal information, right? Didn't Cambridge researchers advise people not to use them?
Indeed, and we've covered this many times on the Smart 7 and the Sunday 7. Researchers were so alarmed by the data that was being used by these period trackers that they urged public health bodies like the NHS to provide trustworthy, research-driven alternatives. In their work, it was suggested that the data extracted from these period tracker apps could often be worth up to 200 times more when sold to advertising companies.
How much of a fine are Meta facing?
Based on the comments of Judge James Donato in San Francisco last week, Meta could be on the hook for up to $8 billion. But there's a huge amount of horse trading, arguments and counter-arguments, and then potentially a settlement before we get to the stage of Zuck writing a cheque that large.
It's a sad day for Apple fanboys. I guess with news that Apple's expensive face mask is getting paused. What is Tim Cook up to?
It looks like the super expensive, but technically actually rather cool Vision Pro headset is dead on arrival, with Bloomberg News, who would normally bang on when it comes to this stuff, suggesting that Apple has stopped a version 2 of the Vision Pro being planned for 2027 to shift development to smart glasses that are more similar to Meta's products, like the new Meta Display, the pair of Ray-Bans with an actual screen in its right lens. Rather than looking like a small bin strapped to your head, the Meta product is a pair of Ray-Bans with slightly thicker arms, and don't appear to cause a huge percentage of users to vomit into a bin after about 30 minutes of use. If the Vision Pro is truly done, then perhaps we're going to finally move away from the idea of strapping an actual computer to our head, and instead we'll focus on glasses that link wirelessly to our phones, and that's got to be a good thing.
And the British government have restarted their data route too.
It would appear so, and as a reminder, this request from the UK government is meant to be confidential, so while it's once again made the news worldwide, neither side have made any kind of comment. Last time the UK government said they wanted backdoor access of sorts to read content encrypted by Apple in iCloud, this ended up being quickly and roundly scuppered by the US government, who ended up being the only people to actually make an official comment, with Trump suggesting it was a vast oversight by the UK government, saying it was the kind of thing you hear about in China. And due to the secrecy around this, none of us exactly know what the government think is being hidden by Apple's encryption, or whether they're making similar moves with companies like Meta or X, who also routinely use encryption to protect user data and take themselves out of any conversation around access to it, because they simply don't have the keys to decode the encryption. Anyway, the demands to Apple are back, and this time it seems to only apply to UK users. You have to wonder whether the US government will back Apple this time, or whether this will be seen as a UK problem.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, in association with Metro, the rise of synthetic talent causes concern, and your doctor is not happy with West treating. We hear a lot about AI, and we all remember the 6-finger phase of AI art, but those days are behind us now, and the world of video-generated AI is moving at speed. This week has seen controversy sparked by a new Dutch production company called Particle 6, which is run by Dutch actor and comedian Eline van der Velden. She's created an AI actress called Tilly Norwood with the ambition that they could become the next Scarlett Johansson. Tilly has her own Instagram page, which includes a simulated appearance on the Graham Norton cage. Understandably, actors in particular are horrified, and as Paul Fleming, who is the General Secretary of the Performers Union Equity, explains, it's important to remember that Tilly is a creation which is trained on real actors' work.
She might look like a human, doesn't sound like a human, move like a human, and I think there's a big danger in talking about her as, or it as artificial intelligence as an actor. The truth is, it's not artificial, it's not intelligent, and it's not an actor. It's trained on the work of our members, which they haven't been compensated for in many instances, and that work which has gone into this computer program has created something fundamentally disconnected from the work of acting, the craft of acting, but also the soul of a human being. And that's why people engage with entertainment, engage with the performing arts, to engage with human beings. So it's a very, very strange phenomenon.
Whoopi Goldberg, who is an actual actress and host of the daily talk show The View, is unimpressed by the idea of AI actors becoming the norm.
The problem with this, in my opinion, humble opinion, is that you are suddenly up against something that's been generated with 5,000 other actors. So it's a little bit of an unfair advantage.
Actress and filmmaker Natasha Lyon, who created Russian Doll and Poker Face, said she thinks anyone who agrees to work with Tilly should be boycotted. Marie Kelly, executive director from Canadian acting union ACTRA, is unimpressed by the rise of synthetic talent.
With Tillys of the world coming, our government needs to move and move quickly in order to give moral rights to performers to protect against this theft of their work.
This week has seen the government and GPs clash over the imposition of a new mandatory online booking system for your local NHS GP clinic. Health Secretary Wes Streeting wants booking a doctor's appointment to become as easy as booking a takeaway, but he's faced serious pushback from GPs. The British Medical Association says there needs to be more safeguards put in place and that some clinics will need extra staff to cope with demand, and they haven't ruled out the dispute escalating to an actual strike. There was an offer to help from an unexpected direction this week, with the National Pharmacy Association renewing their call for expanded permission to issue medication, which they say would ease pressure on both GPs and hospital emergency departments. Will Lloyd is manager of Lamsons Pharmacy in Chichester, and he spoke to ITV News this week about the potential for more services in your neighbourhood.
There's a great will in pharmacy, and it always has been, that with the correct amount of funding for pharmacy, we can actually achieve great things. But as this report shows, we can prevent patients going back into hospital, and we can help save the NHS a huge amount of money. And as pharmacy has shown over the years, with numerous services that with a small amount of investment, or even a better investment I should say, we get greater outcomes. As everyone remembers 5 years ago during COVID, we were here, we were on the front line, and we will continue to be. That's what we train for, this is what we do. So with pharmacy, all we just ask for is increased funding so then we can help and do what we can.
Still to come on the Sunday 7 in association with Metro, Arnie gets serious about climate change, and we paid tribute to a groundbreaking naturalist, Dr. Jane Goodall.
Right after this. Monday Sidekick, the AI agent that knows you and your business, thinks ahead and takes action. Ask it anything, seriously. Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today on monday.com.
If you're a smoker or vapor ready to make a change, you really only need one good reason. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you'll discover many good reasons. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Plus, Zyn offers a robust rewards program. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Check out zyn.com/find to find Zyn at a store near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Welcome back.
As part of his long-term efforts to ban smoking, the government implemented a ban on disposable vapes earlier this year. They also pose a serious environmental issue with an estimated 8 million disposable units thrown away each week. That's 13 per second, if you're keeping track. They're complicated to recycle because they contain both plastic elements and a battery, but it's the long-term risk to health that is driving the government's concern. Surveys carried out by the Public Health Agency found that over 40% of 17-year-olds in Northern Ireland are vapers, and more worryingly, that 76% of those young vapers had never previously smoked tobacco. That's a real concern for future health. And this week, Asli Ertonguc, the UK and Ireland Managing Director of British American Tobacco, spoke to Radio 4's Today programme about the issue. She identified the sweet and fruit flavours as a key issue that's driving interest from a younger consumer.
The regulation is very important, and that's what we are also calling. And we are in a crossroad. With tobacco vapes bill is still being discussed, and the ingredients or the flavors has to have some restrictions, and we're calling for that. It should be tobacco, menthol, and fruits. And fruits are important for smokers to switch, because we also know most of the smokers, ex-smokers, they prefer fruits flavors to get away from smoking habits. But cotton candy, desserts, soft drinks, they are clearly not for vaping or for any other nicotine category. Shouldn't be allowed.
This week saw an unlikely double act team up to focus on climate change. Pope Leo XIV and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger both addressed a climate justice conference held in Rome. The event at Castel Gandolfo saw the Pope urge people of all ages to get involved in climate activism, warning that there is no room for indifference or resignation.
Lord, bless this assembly, this conference. May the dialogue we engage in contain respect for all gathered here and the entire Earth community. May we work towards a flourishing of all creation, held in being by our Creator, through Christ our Lord.
Schwarzenegger, who has been a long-time climate campaigner, was delighted to speak at the event, praising the Pope and calling him an action hero for ordering solar panels added to buildings across the Vatican City and his plan to make the tiny state carbon neutral. Arnie says to make an impact, patience is essential.
You have to communicate the right way. When we started our environmental movement in California, when I became governor, people were not behind us. I said to myself, why is that? We're talking about climate change. 20% of the people said, yeah, this is kind of dangerous. Or you need more than 50%, right, to get anything done. So we talked then about the rising sea level. Nothing, the needle didn't move. We talked about the glaciers melting, the polar bear is in danger. It didn't move the needle. Nothing happened. But then the American Lung Association sent us a television commercial that showed a little tiny kid trying to inhale almost was impossible, and then this child faded. Did it die? Did it pass out? That little spot we put right away on television, and all of a sudden everyone got interested And we had 62% of the people behind us going with the environmental laws, and that's how we were able to succeed and to pass all of those environmental laws.
Scientist and groundbreaking global activist Jane Goodall has died aged 91. She was born in Bournemouth but travelled the world on her journey to discover more about her beloved chimpanzees and worked tirelessly to safeguard their environment and the planet. Her foundation announced her death, describing her discoveries as revolutionising science, and praised her tireless work as an advocate for the protection and restoration of our natural world. She was a pioneer as a female scientist in the 1960s and also in how she brought science to a wider audience through her work with the National Geographic Society. She wasn't afraid to share her opinions either, memorably comparing footage of Donald Trump in action to a male chimpanzee.
I see the same sort of behavior as a male chimpanzee will show when he's competing for dominance with another. They're upright, they swagger, they project themselves as really more large and aggressive than they may actually be in order to intimidate their rivals.
She was also still active, speaking at the Forbes Sustainability Summit just last week. Rest in peace, Jane.
We are the most intellectual species to walk the planet, but we're not intelligent. If you're intelligent, you don't destroy your only home. And so we've got to get together, and scientists are beginning now to really work out technology that can help us live in greater harmony with the natural world, like in renewable energy, capturing CO2 before it goes up into the greenhouse gases, those kinds of things. But it's a problem, and it should be at the heart of everything. It should be at the heart of politics and at the heart of business.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.
Dreaming of getting the all-new iPhone 17 Pro designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever?
Then stay in bed and let a Boost Mobile expert deliver and set it up for you.
Oh, actually, they will have to get up and open the door.
Oh, right.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.